Welcome to the eighth episode of the Sabia Khan Show. Happy January, guys. Today we have a very special guest with us, Avery Bartlett. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Nailed it.
Avery?
Absolutely nailed it.
Yes, so Avery handles content, especially short form videos for Avalanche, that is Avalanche Blockchain. He has accumulated more than 30 million views and more than 100,000 followers across the socials. Plus, he has been a phenomenal track athlete, where he was three-time state champion Florida and five-time All-American in Georgia Tech, right? And he has been a professional runner, so much so that he has trained for Olympics. That's massive. Like that's that's amazing. And now he is working for a layer one, a top 10 blockchain. Amazing. Like kudos to you. So welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for that introduction. It kind of reminds me how short my attention span is, kind of going through all these different verticals but hey, it's a lot of fun and thank you so much. Yeah, dude, this week it's been crazy. The NFT ecosystem on Avalanche, like you've never really thought of Avalanche as being like a big NFT kind of place to be. We have booms here and there, but just today we had a collection that reached number one in volume across all different blockchains. So
Oh,
my
which
whole
one?
week's it's Dokyo. So my week's
Dokyo.
been
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah. So I've been going crazy on
And as
NFTs this week.
always, I missed the train. Like a friend, like literally reached out in the Stars Arena days, right?
Yeah,
So he was
yeah.
like this. There's this marketplace called Hyperspace, and you should
Hmm.
like invest in this like in this the blue chip of the
Hmm.
Avax ecosystem. Dokyo. I was like the art is cool and all. I was like I don't understand like I just understand
Yeah.
open sea. Like I'm in each maxi. I'm stupid. Like
Yeah.
how what do I do?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy because I know like, the core, the Avalanche maxis, like the deep level people. We knew Dom, our, head of NFTs was pushing, he was trying to make just a blue chip collection, which is his goal. And he,
Yeah.
found Brando and saw like all the stuff he did at Soul and convinced him to, start a collection on Avalanche. And so like all of us just like aped in. And so I think when Dokyo's first minted, it was about $80. And like I know somebody who literally minted 1,000 of them. A
Wow.
thousand Dokyos, 1,000 of them. And then, they started for $80 and now I think they peaked at around like it was like 66 AVAX, which would roughly be like $3,000. And
Nice.
so yeah, a lot of
Max.
value there.
Like I'm coping hard. Like, I don't want to listen about it. Like
Yeah.
let's go. But this is so amazing because
Funny.
the Dokyo is like the floor is like $3,000,
Crazy.
right?
Yeah.
Like and with like steady NFT coming, like that's like the another like hyped win for
Yep.
which I did not get whitelisted because
You should have hit me up. You should that should have
lazy.
been the second thing when you DM'd me. You should have asked me, "Hey, can you be on the podcast?" And the second thing you should ask me is be on the
Can I
steady
get a
whitelist.
whitelist, please?
It's too
For
late.
steady.
We missed it.
No.
It's too late. Yeah, it closed like
I was trying to get a whitelist because they were like open the Discord again and again. So and I am like in Indian standard timing, so
mhm.
the timing is just off. Like
Oh yeah. The mint would be I mean, the mint would be at 11 a.m. So if you're up now, maybe you could. But oh well, I mean, who knows? I mean, there's gonna be plenty more opportunities, I hope. Yeah,
we hope so.
I hope.
So talking about our labs, right? So the red coin. As I said, I was introduced. So I was introduced to this ecosystem through Stars Arena. So,
Mhm.
like, generally, people call you on their podcast and they like talk you about their journey. But, like, because I
We can do that.
saw
We can do
that,
whatever. But
yeah. So, but I just wanna like jump in the tea. So Starsarena, I got in like really early when the TVL was 200K, like 200, like it was like super super early. Like one of my friends got me. It was like he was like the CEO of Avalanche is supporting it. There's this dev called the Builder, and like these other people, and it's like growing every day. I was there, and I kind of forex my money, but then the hack happened. Like, so I did not cash out, of course. Like, it was just like I was investing, and like all these people, like the people from Friend Tech, these big
Yep.
people, and that's when I started following you. And I also like followed you on Stars Arena. So like let's talk.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to Stars Arena? I
Dude,
just
that might be like the craziest 3, 4 weeks of my life up there. It's up there with being insane. So, like as you were saying, there was just an app that popped up on Avalanche, right? Like this wasn't like a planned thing. It wasn't like funded by Avalanche BD. It was just this dude had an idea to make a few tweaks to the friend tech contract and deploy it. And this was a pure hobbyist, right? He did the full stack of developments from the front end, the UI, the back end, and even the smart contracts. Okay. And usually,
like one
whenever
person,
one
one
person,
person, right?
one person did all this. And usually, when somebody becomes you know, does all that kind of development, they're not, they do all of it at a decent level. So they can't be experts in everything. And so, as we saw, there's a viral feedback loop. So he figured something out. He figured out that a way to make a product pretty addictive. And I mean, in the 2 weeks, we straight up saw exponential growth, like straight up
I was
exponential
not
growth.
sleeping. Like, I was not sleeping when this
It
was happening. Like,
neither was
we
I.
were having spaces, and we were like sniping people as they were coming in, like live. It was so fun.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
And I remember, so it blew up, right? And I remember that Friday it was whenever the TVL was at 3 million. And I was checking and you would see NBA players join, as Bula was joining, right? There's some of the biggest meme accounts, not crypto related, on Twitter were joining, and you
There
could
was
just,
this one cat account, like with billion of like followers, like
oh,
cat account, and I was like, oh
yeah.
yeah, this yeah, this is
No, it
crazy.
was insane. It felt like it was gonna go mainstream. Like
Yeah.
it felt like it was about to explode, right? So we go to sleep that Friday. I wake up, I have like 2,000 notifications in all different group chats, and I get the gist of what happened. It got hacked. Everything's down. Our COO, Kevin, is just freaking out in the group chats. He's like, "Crypto is war. Like we must defend. We're getting attacked. Like start tweeting and blah 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 blah." And I was like, sort of managing influencer relations. Like whenever like a big account like Crypto Kaleo would join or something like that, I would like DM them and like more or less like build that relationship, more or less. So I was just like in the chats DMing all these people who had shield Stars Arena to all their followers and gets hacked the next day. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not like typically the influencer guy, so I don't really know how to deal with this situation. Oh, it
Also,
was
like,
crazy.
uh, so like, do you think friend tech people like had any hand in like hacking it? Like,
That was the conspiracy, but no. No, it was just a dude
sadly,
who, yeah, no, they had nothing to do with it. It was that was just a fun conspiracy that someone wanted to blame on somebody, but no. Yeah, it was I don't even remember. And then that's the next part of the story that gets crazy. So we do PR, we may get the situation under control. And for the most part, it's like we got it under control. We like managed it. There's an insane amount of FUD, but for the most part, like most of the community was still excited for it to release, right? And then the hacker, he puts a message to the chain, right? He just makes a transaction from his contract, and in the call data, he writes, "I would like to cooperate." And I mean, that's some like James Bond shit, That's like totally
like
crazy.
I was going to say this, like, this is such drama, and like everybody is like completely engaged and like talking about it, and like what's
Oh,
gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, it was so juicy. And then there was a bit of a back and forth of like, all right, hey, like send us an email to this. And then the responder was like, no, we're going to negotiate all of it on chain. So there was like this encrypted messaging platform they both hopped on. They started negotiating. And eventually, they came to the classic white hat deal where the hacker keeps 10% of the funds, but he gives 90% of it back just so there's no legal action and, the hounds don't get him. Um, and then on the back end, like we knew the Starsarena team, they weren't perfect, right? Like even from day one, like whenever they came into our chain, we'd message them a bit. Like there were some like obvious red flags, but like we didn't really have a choice because we had like the most viral app Avalanche has ever seen in like a year.
Yeah.
But like, are we gonna like stand our ground because it looks shady or like back off because it looks shady? Like it didn't feel like that was an option. Like we had to fully commit to it because it was the biggest thing we've seen. And then when it got hacked, we were like, okay, we got to put in a better team because like they just it just grown and outgrown the core
Yeah.
team. It was just kind of obvious. And then, we put our devs in about a week they rewrote the back end and they said it was like the craziest code they've ever seen. They were saying like the devs we put in were like, yo, I don't know how this thing got up and running. This is like it's crazy how it even worked to begin with. And they ended up fixing it, launched it. I mean, it was just a bunch of turbulent up and down after it was launched and
Yeah.
it kind of faded
With
away.
this
But
messages in
yeah.
between, like we are launching, just
Oh
stay,
yeah.
like
Sooner than
stay
you think.
tuned. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna open the arena and like meanwhile, like it was also open like for just the content part of it,
Yep.
right? Like the trading was not open. It was crazy, like
Yeah, that was insane.
fun. And then like the person who got me into arena, he was so pissed off with this whole, and I was also pissed off. He's
Fair.
like the coin, like these red coiners, they always like do this. Like they have something so beautiful and then they mess it up. Like, what is
Yeah.
this thing? I was like, red coin, bad coin.
I know it was some of the memes were hilarious. And like, we got to be self-aware. It was like, it's like what are you gonna do? Like we did the best we could with the situation, but that this is crypto, that happens. And if you keep pushing and keep delivering cool stuff, people forget about that. Which hopefully we're at that place right now. But yeah, that was tough. That was tough. But it's
Good
that's what
time.
makes crypto beautiful, though. Just how it's just there's never a dull day. There's just never a dull day. It's
So
crazy, man.
that kind of brings me like exactly into like the next question.
Hmm.
So like Avalanche is like a like layer one big chain, like top 10 in like 24-hour volume, like the protocols, like TVL. It's booming. Like and also like we saw a rally from like $8 to like $40. So and of course like the bull is not here right now. And like it means like people actually use Avalanche, right? Which is like not the case with like a lot of other chains. So and also like it boasts about the ease of like using these subnets. Technical words is like also like so in simple words, it's like a website builder. Like you do not need like high end coding to use all of this. So like how do you explain this to somebody who's like very new to the
Hmm.
ecosystem? So like what's Avalanche? Like what Avalanche?
For sure. And so I'm gonna explain it to you from like an architecture point of view, right? So, like ideally, like a user won't even know how Avalanche works, and it's just like a cool, fast experience with a bunch of cool apps on it. But
Exactly,
on the
like
back end,
first
right?
instinct. Sorry, I don't want to
Mhm.
cut you off. It's just like that was just like my first instinct because when I used I was tipping in Stars Arena. It was so fast. I was like, I'm not an ETH maxi now. Like this is so fast. Like
It felt
and it's
good.
about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and we give the dev a lot of shit, but he did a few things right, and that onboarding experience was incredible because you would go on immediately into Stars Arena, they would abstract your wallet away, and you would immediately accumulate fees because of people sniping the new accounts, right? And then you could, from there, just use the app like nothing. Like you didn't have to write gas, you didn't have to write anything. You could withdraw or deposit, as you wanted. And so the experience is good on the front end, right? But if you're a builder, right, if you actually care about the deep infrastructure, here's kind of how I explain Avalanche, right? Bitcoin, single asset, single chain. Ethereum, multi-asset, single chain. Avalanche, multi-asset, multi-chain. Now, why would you want a multi-chain ecosystem? And the explanation is essentially that, just on, napkin math, right? We just can't fathom one chain any way you cut it, the most with the most advanced consensus mechanism, with the most advanced data availability in VM. One single chain just cannot withstand mass adoption, right? So let's say you have um 2 billion like crypto users who use a chain a year, and they put, like, let's say 10 megabytes on chain through transactions, storing NFTs, blah 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 blah, transfer Visa payments, blah 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 blah. Like, that is so much data going through one system. It's just impossible for a single chain to withstand it. So we go the multi-chain approach. And the argument against that is usually like, okay, well, why would you want to segment liquidity, make the user experience worse? Okay. And in its current state, like, that's a fair argument. But what we see this benefit going is, so let's take, for example, you have Shrapnel, which is a AAA game that's being built on Avalanche. They have their own app chain. And games, for the most part, are a great product market fit for app chains because they need gas to be super, super cheap, and they need transactions to be super, super fast because gamers are generally hard to please, and there's a million better options to play games. So it's really hard to win gamers as users. So let's say you're on Shrapnel, right? You start the game, you get a few free NFTs, you just play it like normal. Okay, there's a new mint coming up that you can have the battle pass, let's for say. But you haven't bridged any money over from, the Avalanche C chain. You're still kind of using DeFi and NFTs over there, but you want to participate in this mint. There's something called Teleporter, which is in testnet currently. It should come out in a few weeks, hopefully, which basically means that I can mint on a separate chain, or I can make a transaction, make a swap on a separate chain while my liquidity is somewhere else, or while my funds are on the C chain. Just making that swap, completely abstracting it from the user. And so essentially it's multi-chain, but it feels like one. And you can do a lot of really cool things with these app chains, or what we call subnets. And I don't like the term subnet, although the technical term is correct, right? It's, a subdivision of the network, but like the prefix sub, kind of implies like, you're below something. But, subnets and these subnetworks can be insanely powerful and massive. And a lot of the times they do more transactions than the C chain. So it's a really, really powerful way to build an application. And you can customize these as much as you want. Okay. Let's say you're a move dev, right? Like, Aptos Sui, they're a move blockchain. Let's say you want to use the security and, parallel processing that the move has, but you kind of want your own blockchain. Well, you can do that on Avalanche subnet, right? We're VM agnostic. If you want to create a new virtual machine that the world's never even seen, you can do that on Avalanche and have it be interoperable with a bunch of other different chains. And or if you're a government, let's say, and you want complete visibility and control on who can use your network, subnets are a great use case for that. And we've seen JP Morgan, as well as Citibank, as well as a bunch of large asset managers build their own private subnets, which we call evergreen subnets, which are completely government compliant. So that overall is the pitch of why we think our architecture is one of the very, very few blockchains that is even in the conversation of still being around in the next 10 years, right? Because technology moves fast. We usually see exponential growth with how fast, technology evolves. And we expect the demand and the throughput and maybe a virtual machine that we haven't even thought of overtakes the EVM in a couple years, and then Avalanche is going to be completely fine because we can just integrate that in our subnets and have it completely interoperable with all of our legacy systems and apps and builders and community members who have worked so hard to make Avalanche their home. So that's the high level pitch of what we're doing. And honestly, that's kind of why I got red pilled in the first place.
So like if China wants to like get on the blockchain, they're gonna use Avalanche, right? To kind of
There's
so
there's an argument you could make that that would be a good decision on their part. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Because it's
So,
completely sovereign in
like
their own control.
a couple of things. So I'm so fascinated by the term that you said, teleporting. Wow,
Teleporter.
that's
Hmm.
that's crazy because I think people like me, I'm degen, but then I'm like a lazy degen. I don't want to grind for whitelist. I don't want to like bridge funds over and over and over again, right? And so like stuff like these, that's gonna make it so easy to use.
Yep.
Amazing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I can't. I think it's gonna take like a few months to really mature and be used in actual production. But like the vision, I think is really exciting. And like whenever like we've gone through the bear market and we've seen other chains do well, and we've had to kind of like push through on Avalanche. Like we would just like talk to the engineers for 5 seconds and they would remind us like, okay, chill out. They're doing some good things, but here's also like the vision that we have and why it makes a ton of sense, and it would all calm us. So yeah, the heroes of Avalanche is by far our engineering team. Everyone else, we're just getting carried and along for the ride with the great stuff our engineering team does, for sure.
100%. Like you said, the bear market. So, like coincidentally, like my next question, my next prompt is about that. So, of course, like we were in the bear, like we still are in the bear. Like how, like you work for the team, like you are in the team. Like the BDS and the sentiment, the work environment. So, like, how was that when AVAX was like at the ATH? It was like around like $145, and then it went to
Hmm.
$2.8, and then slowly to 8 and then 40. So like when it reaches 80, like how's the team, like
Yeah,
what's going
yeah. So we kind of have a philosophy, and it's not said, it's not something that's like actively spoken, but there really is just a note, like we're extremely competitive people, and there's just like a no quit attitude. It's and our goals are extremely high, right? We're not trying to like our goal isn't to be a top 10 coin. We're trying to we're trying to aim for number one if possible. I know, and that's a crazy goal, but you have to shoot for the stars, right? People might say it's absolutely crazy that you could be the number one coin, but you have to have that mindset to kind of be competitive in this space. There's just some of the smartest people in the world are behind layer one blockchains, such as Solana, such as Polygon, such as Arbitrum, such as Optimism, such as Ethereum, and the list goes on, right? Such as Aptos, such as Sui. So these are some of the smartest people in the world, and they all are extremely competitive. So if you even want to have a chance of, you know, being in the conversation of in the top 10 coins, you have to be like really, really into it, really competitive, and kind of be able to tune out price. Or And I'm not even supposed to say that word just because how we are so not focused on price or whatever speculation people want to have with our gas token. We're just laser focused on delivering the best products possible because that's what Avalanche is. It's a network for some of the best products and best teams to fulfill their dreams, right? And so we're laser focused on getting the best partnerships possible and creating the best culture possible and we're laser focused on even now when people like us all of a sudden again think, okay, Avalanche has a chance, and truly from our perspective, nothing's changed. Like we're still animalistically going after and trying to make the best apps possible. We're just like in a delusional way, kind of moving as if we are going to be the future of the way value is transferred in the world. And so
Like
even through the bear, like we're just kind of like really, kind of intentional with being successful. And even now that you could argue we are successful, we're still not satisfied. We're not really changing the way we move from no matter what the speculative conversation is.
so this attitude is of the CEO, Eamon, or like everybody who's like involved in the red coin.
Everybody.
Like, so
Yep.
uh,
Yeah, everybody for sure. Yeah.
So I remember because when we were having these conversations when I was like first introduced to the AVAX ecosystem, and so my friend told me that these people, like the chain, like basically started from Turkey, and like a lot of users are Turkish, and
Mhm.
like these people, like they are like very loyal, they are die hard, like
Yep.
they are like red coin go up and like and I kind of see that attitude in you too. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely. That
Yeah.
makes sense. You know?
Yeah. And the CEO, Emin, or we call him Goon, um, he was born in Turkey and then he made his career at Cornell. So he's been in America for most of his life, but since he's like one of the I don't know how large the list is of Turkish tech founders, especially in crypto, but yeah, they absolutely love us. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of like the what it brings, and we also like try to stay humble the best. Like we aren't praying for the downfall of other coins. Like we definitely are. We don't like dislike any other coins for any part, but we definitely have a, yeah, kind of like a cultish attitude, which has its pros and cons. But
So
yeah.
do you guys gather in like cults and like pray for the demise of cosmos? Like if that is like do you guys
Right. No, dude. Actually, I mean, we love you bring it. I mean, if any, I mean, Cosmos isn't the chain that we pray the demise for. We actually, I mean, we're completely aligned with them. Because the app chain thesis.
I would pray for the demise of
We
Solana because I do not like Solana at all. Like
You don't? Why
Solana
not?
because they are like paper hands, like selling everything like for $1, like just for
Yeah.
$1 stuff like that. But like Solana's had like a good run, of course. And but that was a joke. Like I don't pay for the demise of any blockchain, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The line.
dislike Solana a bit. Yeah.
That's fair. What's your favorite ecosystem? ETH?
It was Eid, but I think I am like right now. I love Cardano, like not for the ecosystem, just like for the people. I think
Okay.
like they're like a little bit weird. So I have this theory that like each blockchain, like there's this certain group of people, and like their favorite blockchains kind of attract a certain kind of people. So
Yep.
I made friends on Cardano ecosystem, and they're like hippie people, chill, like they're like going on their like own pace. They have not have a run like still because I don't think Ada has moved a lot. Yeah, so I like that, but
Yeah.
I'm a stupid eat maxi. I'm
Good.
gonna change that, yeah. But because I'm like one of those people. I did not get into crypto first. I came into NFTs first.
Okay.
So like all of my like transactions were like on ETH, so that's why I was like I'm so late to other chains.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's why.
No, I mean,
But
I mean,
these
those are
days,
two fantastic ecosystems.
I like Near protocol a lot.
Near,
So
good. Yeah,
yeah, Near.
Near is I mean, they're a sleeper because they've really done a lot of work and laid a lot of really great infrastructure for, I guess, the time for mass adoption or whatever you're going to call it. And really on payments, they're doing a really great job. Near's fantastic. Cardano, I mean, they are known for having just one of the most diehard communities, and it's great to hear that
Yeah.
they're chill because I feel like most of the stereotypes of anybody in crypto is people that are not chill. Like I would like if you want to like go to the least chill community, it might be Avalanche. We are not chill at all. We're kind of crazy.
But I'm also like slowly turning into like I wanna like explore the ecosystem, and that kind of like brings me to the next question because
Mhm.
that's why this podcast, like the theme of this podcast is basically like as you said, NFTs on Avalanche, they are like they're growing. So how like to a newbie like me for Avalanche, how do I find alpha? Like how do I how do I navigate this ecosystem like? So I like as I was
Yeah.
researching, the Dex is Trader Joe, right? They have their own coin. And what the fuck is like this Mo airdrop? And like so people who
Yeah.
were like invested in Trader Joe, like they got an airdrop.
So it was kind of a strat because they're launching a new marketplace on Mantle, which is a new L2 that's coming up. And what makes it unique is they the Ethereum that they're using to kind of, I guess, secure their network is liquid staking. So, there's METH, which is Mantle ETH. I'm pretty sure it's METH. It might be called something else, but it's essentially like a liquid staking token built into an L2. They think that's very interesting, and it honestly is. And so they're having a marketplace on there called Merchant Mo, which is just a derivative off of Trader Joe. And to launch that marketplace, if you bridged your Joe over and staked it on Mantle, they gave you a Mo airdrop.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so and you can still bridge your Joe over and stake it in Mantle, and then you'll continue to get Mo emissions. Mo. So
Nice.
so yeah, that's kind of how that is.
So
But
like that
how as
Dex, right? Trader Joe
Trader
on
Joe's
our
the main Dex. Yeah, that's probably one of the best OG teams that come out of Avalanche. Yeah, they're awesome for sure. And to your question about how to find alpha, or essentially just like what are the things that are interesting in an ecosystem that people may not be talking about in the public or may not have happened yet. And
which
this,
which could 10x
or yeah,
or go to
or
zero.
any way you want to slice it. Yeah, any way you want to slice it.
Yeah, exactly.
What I would recommend, and this isn't just for Avalanche, find the people that like find the people for Avalanche, find the people that work for Ava Labs, such as myself, such as some BD associates, DM them and ask. And for Solana, I would find some prominent members of the community or some BD associates that work for Solana Labs. I'll just DM them and ask. Um, Same for any ecosystem. With ETH, there's really not much of that, so you'd have to just like find the right person, just DM them and ask. That's kind of that's kind of like I think like the pro tip that the people that do that, and I have plenty of people in my DMs who just ask like, "Hey, what are some interesting things happening on Avalanche?" I'll tell them from my perspective, since I'm in this day to day to day to day, like all the time, what's interesting, and then that usually helps some people out, and or just like one of the like a loyal influencer on a chain. So I would just say get it in the DMs. That's probably the best place, for any ecosystem.
Wow, like I was like, I don't know, I just felt that many people do not like answer their DMs, but
Keep
with
asking. Yeah,
ecosystem, like, this is a thing, like a common theme which I just kind of saw for the ecosystem that like people who are involved, like they're very vocal, they're like very helpful, and they'll share. Yeah, and that's a good thing.
we
I will
try.
try. So,
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely try that. For anybody listening, that's a great
like,
strategy. And if
who
someone doesn't answer DMs, don't take offense.
yeah, I mean, that goes like with the territory. Like, okay, let's talk about gaming because
Mhm.
today I kind of heard somewhere, maybe this is from you, like from like your earlier podcast, that gaming is like not happening in ETH. Then that kind of like makes sense. Like, I mean, it cannot like get big on ETH because of the gas and like a lot of other technical stuff.
Hmm.
Avalanche is doing such a good job. Like for gaming, we have Blood Loop, then we have Shrapnel, and then I made a list. So yeah, so
Godzilla.
then this Domi Online, that's
Yep.
like kind of alpha, right? Defy Kingdoms. It was such a
Hmm.
big, it was so hyped. And then Fableborn,
Hmm.
Metados, Paradise, Providence, Off the Grid. So,
Yeah.
like, what's your opinion on like how do you start in like gaming in Avalanche? So if somebody who's a gamer but like a Web2 gamer and they want to come and play games, how do they start in this ecosystem?
So the games that cater to us and the ones that we kind of welcome with open arms are the games that abstract Web3 away. And that's not all of them, right? Like DeFi Kingdoms is very Web3 centric. There are some games that are very Web3 centric. All of the Merit Circle or Beam titles are going to be very Web3 centric. But for the most part, like we're talking about Fableborn and Shrapnel, um, just whenever the game comes out, just play the game. And that's kind of how you're getting involved. And the speculation piece, or of like if people want to like, maybe see if they can, trade, let's say trading card games that we have or trade skins or whatnot. That can kind of happen independently of playing the actual game itself. It's like there's people who actually play the Pokemon card game and there's people who only buy the packs and trade. So there's kind of two different verticals if you want to get involved. And the gaming speculators or if the people who want to see if they can get the most rare skin and whatnot, that can very well exist on chain. And some of the blood loop boxes, or I think it's, yeah, I think it's a vial, or they have some sort of perks. I apologize, I'm not totally well versed in that, but those have a lot, people speculate on those all the time. And those are completely on chain, on the C chain, and you can do whatever. But if you want to play the actual games, I would just go to the App Store and play them. So there's a game on Avalanche called Patopia, and it's kind of like a roguelike mobile shooter, and it's built from Myria Labs, and Myria Labs has their own blockchain built on Avalanche, and it's a very interesting game. You can play it right now, and you can use the Web3 portion right now. But the Web3 portion is similar to SocialFi and how they're doing their guild mechanism. And so a guild is essentially a group of gamers that compete as a team in tournaments to win prizes. And to get into one of these guilds, you buy a ticket, just in the same way you would do that in Starsarena. And so that's how you get it. So you put a little you put a little skin in the game, and or if you're not even on the team, you can speculate and you know bet on which guilds are going to be successful, and if they win, everybody gets a piece of that. And that's also completely on chain, and it's pretty abstracted from the users. So that's one you can play right now, and you'll barely even know it's a Web3 game, but it's actually pretty fun. But if you really Web3 native, then DeFi Kingdoms is probably a great pick to continue, because although they were big and like popular a few years ago, they've they have a lot of content that has been in the works, and so the game's honestly pretty alive at the moment. So kind of three different answers to that question.
Nice. Like, so it's called Utopia. Sorry.
Patopia, yep, by Myria Labs.
Oh, nice. I mean, so the betting, the speculating, and also like getting to the gears, kind of like layers to it. I like it.
Yeah, there's
I'm not doing myself, but I definitely want to get into gaming because it's just to kind of understand the whole ecosystem.
yep.
Sometimes, yeah, to make content, you kind of have to like, because when I first came into NFTs, I just came to write about it.
Hmm.
And then I was like, I have to like understand how all of this works. And then and I did zero writing and like only DJing like for
Yeah.
2 years. Yeah. Uh,
Oh
Also,
yeah.
when I was talking to you, I found your YouTube channel, and you have a game by Avery, Group
Oh
Jitsu.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw a video.
Yeah, yeah. So that I guess that was one of the many lives that I've lived. In college, I wanted to be a game developer. So I was a computer science student at Georgia Tech. So write software and whatnot, knew how to code. And I was involved in a club called VGDev, which stand for Video Game Developers. And each semester we'd make a game. And one of the games I made in Unity was called Groove Jitsu. It's a stupid concept, but essentially it's like you're just like it's like Super Mario or Super Smash Bros. But if the entire stadium like moved to a beat to a song. Um, but but yeah, what that taught me is for about 3 or 4 years, I was dead set on being a game developer, and I've made a ton of games, maybe like 5 games. That's what I mean by a ton, 5 games. It is so unbelievably hard. Make game dev is so unbelievably hard. I have so much respect for anybody who even wants to, dabble in there. The space is so competitive to get users, and you'd be surprised how hard it is to make a fun game. Because essentially like what's going on the back end or behind the scenes when you're making a game is an insane amount of really, really, really complicated math, right? Like each pixel on your screen whenever you're playing a video game is has an incomprehensibly complicated set of computations to get that where it is. And like a computer doesn't know what 3D space is. All of it is manually scripting physics into it. So if you play a volleyball game, you want to hit a ball back and forth, each frame that ball moves is essentially just like programming a world of physics behind it. It's insanely complicated. And so I learned very quick that I probably wasn't going to make it as a video game developer. I'm just straight up not smart enough. And I have so much respect for everyone that does, but yeah, that was a very humbling experience, but a ton of fun too.
So, as I said, I have been, I watched earlier, like your earlier podcasts and stuff like that. So so I had a theory, like it's not my theory, it's just like, I kind of believe in it. They're like two, sort of people, door knockers and like window openers, right? So window openers can like see what they want to do. They kind of only take action if they're like very sure and they just kind of have like a very clear vision. And then there are people like you, and I'll also like keep myself in there, like, because like we like to knock on like a lot of doors, reiterate, and like try a lot of things and gain like a complete different like skill set, and like we just never know when that puzzle's gonna fit, because you have you were such a good athlete, like you if God would have willed, or like if circumstance would have been a little bit different, you would like be an Olympic player. That's amazing. Like that's that's already like the top 5%, right? And then you like tried a lot of different skill set, like, and like you also like hosted a podcast when also you grew your own TikTok, in track
Yeah.
and field, and then so like there's so many things like to you, and also like now you are making like content for Avalanche, right? So that's so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've kind of learned from a decently young age, I would say maybe like 5-ish years ago, maybe I didn't that I need to be doing really hard things at all times. That's just the only way I can keep myself sane. You know, Whenever I think back to like the lowest moments in my life or where, my worst seasons in track or, whenever I would have an initiative or try to have a skill that wasn't in one of the successful things you mentioned, and there were many. I've tried many things that fail and we just don't talk about. Um, but it's kind of like whatever like I don't meet the expectation or don't do anything cool. It's because I succumb to like wanting to relax. So maybe I'll get really into a video game. So I had an easy semester in college where it was the first time I like in my entire college career that I could actually relax. And so I was like, I'm gonna take full advantage of this. And with my extra time to myself playing these video games, I'll be a faster runner because I don't have to worry about school. I don't have to worry about all these things. So I played a game called Red Redemption 2, and I put about 100 hours into it over that semester. And you would think, okay, I have all this time to rest, that I should be probably have some of the best athletic performances you would see, and I would ever have, just because I would be so relaxed and I would be so focused on just one thing. And that was my worst season, right? It's like the laziness from other parts of my life kind of overtook everything. And so whenever like I decide to relax and kind of take things easy or just focus on one thing, it's always when kind of like the world falls under beneath myself. And I've kind of learned that no matter what it is, no matter if it's productive or not, no matter if it's clear that, let's say, like we talked about video games, whether it's clear that that's going to have any impact in my future, if that's going to be valuable at all for anything measurable, I'm still going to pursue it and work really, really hard at it just because I know I need to do hard things. And it kind of trains yourself to kind of have your bar of expectations or kind of your tolerance for doing difficult things, which are often doing important things and incredible things, to be really high. And so now that I'm working at Avalanche, and this is a very difficult job, very, very few people can well, I say work at Avalabs, I mean, very, very few people can kind of withstand the amount of pressure and the amount of demand and the amount of skills that you need to kind of be successful at this job. But since I know that I need to do hard things and I have all these random skills built up, like when I decided to build my TikTok and I didn't make any money in it for the first 6 months that I was just 24/7 posting videos, but eventually a few years later it paid off. Or the track running, my last few seasons where, it was clear that I had to stop and that I wasn't going up anymore. I was kind of plateauing and going down. Like that kind of trained me an insane amount of discipline that whenever I need to do something I don't want to do in this job, it kind of helps out. Or even the video game developer, which was a massive failure. It was a big attempt. I put hundreds of hours into trying to become a video game developer. I'd argue that was a big failure, but now I promote games and I deeply understand how games are built, and therefore I can market them really well, and I can have the
Exactly.
conversations with all these people. And so even if it's not clear of like why I have this hard pursuit or why I'm trying to do this really difficult thing, it kind of always, in a weird way, it pays off in the future. So that's kind of like my life philosophy, and I'm going to continue to do hard things, although they may not have a clear payoff. Because eventually it shows up, just like you doing this podcast. People don't understand how annoying it is to have to DM strangers all the time and to set up and carry a conversation because maybe the person's boring on the other side. And, sometimes he misinterprets a question and it's annoying, but you kind of have to just keep doing it because you get to network with some of the smartest people in the world and you get to, kind of have conversations and learn things that 99% of the world will just never be involved in. And so it's just kind of a life philosophy of it's really important to do hard things overall.
Exactly. Like I've talked to like an art collector, like a serious art collector, and I got to know like their story that they found like such value, like enormous amount, like like monetary valued art in a what is it called, in a shipping container, and then how they are like digitizing it, tokenizing it on the blockchain, and I'm like, wow. And they are like
Awesome.
developing that's what movies are made of, like.
Yeah, it's
And then
awesome.
that's and they are like developing like an AI, which is like, and they are like training that AI for that particular artist because they have like the unreleased tapes and they're like all their speeches and all their learnings. So that AI can like produce art and like talk like. So I'm talking about Robert Mallory. So he was like a very celebrated artist. He was kind of like the like a first person who did digital art. And so like the collector found his art in a shipping container and so amazing. Like when you
Awesome.
like that's so
Yeah.
amazing. And then I talked to NFT founders and like they have like completely and they have like launched massive like successful projects with like communities and like that community is like a family now because floor price stand but then the community stayed. So like when you do so like all of these podcasts, of course, like if I gain views and stuff and like that, that's okay. But then the personal growth that I'm going through, that's just in compare. Like I cannot, you cannot, uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, get
Yeah,
this value like just by reading about it. But that's amazing. Uh,
absolutely.
and that's why I was
Absolutely.
like, when I was researching, I was like, he's such a cool person. Like he knows it, like he understands it, he's living it. And then like your story of like how you got hired for Avalanche,
Yeah.
like why like you're like really perfect for the job that you're doing and like nobody else can do it. Like only you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, just because, I've just lived the most random life possible, and so I have the most random job possible, So yeah, it's great. And dude, that's awesome. You get to interview those people. It's kind of an interesting thing. I've always said this. Podcasts are always a positive sum game. Even if you get zero listeners, even if you don't publish the podcast. Because if you hit the DMs of a very interesting person, let's say, very important, a lot of people want their time. If you just say, "Hey, can I have an hour? I just want to like talk to you and learn from you." They may not respond. But if you just put the word podcast in that DM saying, "Hey, you're very interesting. Would you be my podcast?" People will make time for it. And it's awesome. It's overpowered. And I'm glad you're doing this because that's great. You get to
And
meet
for
these people.
some random reason, like I always like get good guests. Like for some random reason, like I just started it and like and even you, like I was like, I want to do a podcast in the AVAX ecosystem. I was like, maybe he's like the perfect person. I didn't know like you like doing podcasts and stuff like that. But then it was like, and he said yes. You're so like cool about it. I was like, wow, like like you don't get yes that easily from people in DMs. Like you because all the podcasts that I've done, like I have to like follow up and like set a like schedule and appointment and stuff
That's
like that.
annoying.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's good. And
But
that,
then
as I said, I've done probably a hundred podcasts, and most of them were when I was the host. And so it's like it's the best whenever you ask someone, they give you a time, you make it happen, and then you forget about it. Like that's the best. So I try to make it easy for sure.
thank you. So I wanted to ask so, like Avalanche is getting like such big partnerships. Of course, like the partnership with Amazon, like the AWS partnership, then JP Morgan, they are using Avalanche, and then as you said, Citibank is using it. So my question is like, what do you think like of the ETF and like everything like going mainstream and stuff like that. So the question about like monopolizing it, like these big companies, of course, like it's good because they're like bringing the tech, they're bringing the funds and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But then also like the monopoly and like these big players like
Hmm.
holding stuff and like we like little players, we are getting like status. Like, what's your opinion on
Yeah. So I think there's two angles that I'm gonna approach this question in. The first one is these major partnerships. I think the most important major partnerships are the ones that aren't consumer facing. So it's just using blockchain tech to solve a problem that already exists in a traditional company or an enterprise company. So for JP Morgan, it's essentially taking like 3,000 processes or or all the different steps it takes to move and transfer funds over and custody them with different players and move them around for X amount of reasons. Tokenizing them solves almost all of them. So it saves them a lot of time, it saves them a lot of money, and that's just an easy selling point there. But as us, not working for JP Morgan or understanding these systems, like we don't care what's on the front end or back end. Like it doesn't matter. And so for the biggest ones that are actually valuable, they're not customer facing. It's just using blockchain tech to solve a problem that these massive companies have. But what do the customers actually care about? And this, I'm pretty certain, won't come from a Fortune 500 company. It won't come from some giant monopoly. It's going to come from a hobbyist or a young startup or somebody who's not super well funded but has a crazy idea and is ready to take a lot of risk. Just because the things that end up being the most important in society are usually the people that see something no one else sees and makes a big counter argument for how life should go. Let's take the smartphone for an example. Like, Steve Jobs saying, hey, everyone's going to carry around a computer with them and it's going to kind of change the way that humans interact was a big counter argument to how society was running at the time. And we've seen that insane bet that most of those stories fail. Like most of the counter arguments that you have for society of like, here's a new way you could do things that's very, very unique and different, most fail. And that's why they rarely come from huge companies. It's usually from smaller companies who are ready to take risk. And so innovation will probably start from the bottom from here for the consumer facing apps, just because big companies won't be bold enough to do anything interesting. They have shareholders to be happy about. They have plenty of stuff to lose. So they're not going to take big risks. And if you're not taking big risks, you're not going to do anything notable for the most part. The only people who are taking big risks are these startups in crypto, such as Trader Joe, such as honestly, even the Starsarena guy, although that kind of exploded, he took a big risk, said, hey, here's a crazy way of how to do social media. And it took off for a little bit, but then it exploded. Who cares? But it took off. Or the first person to kind of like get NFTs going, right? Like that was a big random thing. Hey, can we buy and sell JPEGs? That's a dumb idea. People still think that's a dumb idea, but it was just such a counter argument to how things are done that it found some legs, got some wings, and it took off. And even the first DEX, Uniswap, had a counter swap to how things are done. How can we trade funds with random people supplying liquidity? And so I think it's going to be something that not you or me or anyone listening has ever even thought about existing or something that we needed built on crypto tech that is going to take us to mass adoption. And so it's going to be something random. And so that's why at Avalanche, we are laser focused on attracting ambitious builders that are making counter arguments to how things are doing. We want people to make apps that aren't just a fork from Ethereum. We don't want to just follow trends that are on another chain. We want to make something that you can only find on Avalanche that is incredibly interesting. And at the moment, it looks to be like a lot of our games are doing things that no one else has done in the universe of mankind, history, whatever. That making a counter argument to how games are traditionally done, such as Shrapnel, putting the economy in the players' hands, that I think could really take off and maybe change the way this industry works. So the answer to that is it's going to be an app that is made by a small team that does something no one expects.
Perfectly, that brings me to the next question. That's like the Culture Catalyst program, right? That AVAX Foundation kind of promotes. Yeah. So I was reading about it, and he said it also includes meme coins and NFTs. So, like, what's the deal with that? Like,
Yeah.
so somebody wants to issue meme coins, like launch meme coins, if it takes off. So, like, are they still going to be supported by the Culture Catalyst program, or like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the scene there?
So the preface to my answer is that the Avalanche Foundation and Avalabs, who I work for, are separate entities. So I had no idea that the foundation, which is it's confusing. I'm not going to go into it, but just high level understand that the foundation and Ava Labs are two different entities. So I didn't even know. I don't know what they have going on over there for the most part. Um, and I can speculate on how what they may decide to do, but all I know is that what's in their best interest, which is pretty straightforward, non-trivial, is growing Avalanche as big as it can get any way possible. Not any way possible, but within reason, obviously. Um, and they saw meme coins are as and this is all speculative. I'm not speaking for them. Um, Meme coins are important. People like meme coins. You can onboard people with meme coins. One of my coworkers a few years back, his aunt gave him Doge for Christmas, and so if somebody's aunt is buying crypto, they're buying Doge. So it's like there's you could meme coins aren't for everybody. They're not for a lot of people, I'd say, but there is a small community that they're trying to make into a large community that really
I
likes messing around with them, and so I think they just see a window there. I imagine, but I don't know. I honestly don't have as much insight.
I know a person who prints money with meme coins. Like, he's just good with it. Like, I'm very bad with meme coins, but he's like printing money. Plus, like, he loses on like the safe bets, but it's just like every
Yeah,
person has a different genre, right? Like,
exactly.
oh,
Exactly.
um,
Every person's a different genre.
so like winding all of this up, like the most important thing I want to ask is airdrops. So also like this whole like one of my friends also told me when he told me about Dokyo that they are doing like season one rewards, season two rewards, and I think like season two is like completed now. So season three has started. So like tell us a little bit more about the hyperspace and also like what are like the other marketplaces on Avax. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the hyperspace rewards, it's pretty straightforward. We're essentially trying to bootstrap our NFT ecosystem with liquidity. And that basically means that the top traders, the people that prove to themselves or prove to this the marketplaces that they're actually involved and they trade a lot of volume and they're interested in these collections, they get rewarded essentially with Avalanche that they can do whatever they want with, but a lot of the times they put it back into the ecosystem. And so, yeah, if you want to get involved in that, go to Hyperspace, look at an NFT that resonates with you, and play around with them. Um, only if you like it, only if you're having fun with it. Um, and then the other marketplaces, we have we've seen a bunch, and they're all fantastic. But I've kind of seen that and this isn't just native to Avalanche, but kind of overall that marketplaces are trendy, it seems. It's like sometimes OpenSea's trendy, other times it's Blur that's trendy, or maybe it's SudoSwap that's trendy, or or Tensor or Magic Eden. And an Avalanche, we've had Campfire, which is an awesome exchange. NFT Trade, awesome exchange. Taleo, awesome exchange. Joe Pegs by the Trader Joe team, they did a great job with getting some energy in our ecosystem. But now Salvor, which is another great marketplace. But now it seems like the attention is on hyperspace, and that's where all the action is going to be. That's where Steady NFT is launching tomorrow. Today we're filming this at January 9th, so it's minting January 10th, and that's where that's going to be. And I think it's going to be pretty electric, and I'm pretty excited to see what they have going on there.
What's your price prediction for Steady? Like, what's the flow gonna be like?
So I'm not gonna ever put myself on record for saying anything price just because you never know, right? But I'm gonna participate. I think out of any NFT collection I've ever seen in my life, like literally ever seen in my life, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, when I first saw the art here, I was like, this is me. This is Avery Bartlett. This is funny. I'm a I'm a man from the South of the United States, you know, and this is my culture, basically. And I thought it was hilarious. And so I posted about it, and the dude DM'd me, and we got along really well. Then he said he'd make me a honorary, and I was like, hell yeah, make me an honorary. And it's like this may be the only time I've ever had an NFT as a profile picture. I like it that much. Um,
Wow.
and so I just like the art. There's no roadmap. There's no, carrot in front of you of why you should buy this NFT. I just like the art, and I'm gonna get a lot of them, probably. So that's my take on Steady.
Can I get a whitelist spot, please?
Missed it. You missed it. You should have asked me yesterday. I could have helped you out, but unfortunately, it closed this morning. Um, it's unfortunate.
So, what's next? Like after Steady, like what's the next big project that you think, like the alpha for like AVAX NFT?
I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. Dokanobi, Dokin, Do. Oh, so let me pronounce it right. Dokin, Dok,
Doginal? No.
Dok, Dokaibi,
Yeah.
Dokaibi.
So
Dokaibi, which is a project out of our Avasance program, which was an artist incubator that went on throughout 2023. They're launching an NFT project. It's pretty hyped. I think it's cool. I'm not South Korean. The art's mainly South Korean, but I love that culture. It's one of my favorite countries I've ever visited on planet Earth. I'm very interested in it. So I'll probably get involved with that a little bit. Dokaibi. What'd I say? Dokaibi. Dokaibi. There we
can you
go.
spell it? D-O?
Dokkaebi. Dokaibi. Dokaibi.
And what about this project called Akudo?
Akuda, I don't know too much about that one, honestly. It looks cool. I mean, like they're doing a really good job teasing it. So they're sliding out, they're slowly growing their Discord. The I mean, like the branding is awesome. I don't know too much about it, but I really like what they have going on. I don't know the team. I don't know even what the art looks like. I just think that they clearly know what they're doing, and I'll keep paying attention to this one for sure.
Nice. I mean, with Dokyo doing such numbers today and like a nice hyped mint tomorrow, I think a lot of new people, that just my, it's not a prediction, it's just like common sense. Like a lot of new people are going to come to AVAX NFTs. And I think these days the trend is like each NFT is like not the meta right now. Also, like I used DRC20s, like
Mm,
their wallet and their. I minted an NFT there. It was so slow, but then I think they're also like coming up with like good stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
uh,
that's a great
so
ecosystem. Never fade big. Yeah, never ignore Bitcoin. But yeah, the user experience isn't fantastic for
yeah, so
sure.
definitely that's also like a good. So people are like kind of migrating to other chains, and I think Avax is gonna like get like a major chunk because now like Solana NFTs are like slowly they are like mellowing down, and now like Avax NFTs is like the hot like kind of
We're
news.
trying.
So
We're trying. Yeah. Doing the best we
yeah,
can. I'm really thankful that Steady found their place with hyperspace because dude I've said that art cracks me up. And he showed me some of the collection, the main guy. There's not a bad piece in the entire collection. Like each one, so the supply is 250, which is sorry, 2,500, which is kind of small for a like a collection this hyped. But he said that like he refused to have a single bad NFT in the entire collection, and he manually put each trait on each individual one by hand, all
yeah,
2,500. So I love the dude. We resonate very well, and so I hope that does well.
the art
I
is like
know
very
it's
distinctive. The art is kind
yeah
of like it reminds me of like Elvis Presley vibes plus the color scheme. It's like very appealing to the eye. Definitely, I kind of like get the hype around Steady. So finding this up, I generally had a great time conversating with you, Avery.
Awesome. Well, yeah, man, hey, thank you so much for having me on. I think I had a great time and learned a lot from you and always love hearing myself talk. So, it's awesome.
Thank you, Avery. Thank you so much.